So welcome everybody. This is the first installment of our summer family and student engagement Zoom series. We really just wanted to take this opportunity to kind of introduce some key people at the college and also just give you some basic information and welcome you to our campus community. So it's really awesome to see so many people joining us tonight. It's really kind of brings me a lot of joy to see so many people hopping on. So please just know that we'll try to get to all of your questions. If you don't have questions answered right now tonight, or if you think of something afterwards, we will be around. We will be here for you. And you can always email me directly and we'll get you to where it makes sense. But first, I just wanted to introduce a few people who will be kind of with us in the chat. So if everybody who's going to just be moderating the chat tonight could unmute and quickly introduce yourselves before we start, that would be great.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Renee McNamara. I'm the Assistant Dean for Student Affairs here at ESF, and we're so excited to have you here today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessie Girardi. I'm one of the residential experience coordinators over at Centennial Hall, the residential hall here. And yes, I'm also excited to see how many people are tuning in. So hopefully we can answer a lot of your questions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christopher Card. I'm the coordinator of Campus Programming Community Service, and I'm so excited to see you all today.
Thank you. I failed to introduce myself as well. My name is Amelia Hoffman. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Director of Student Success and Engagement. I'm sure you and your students have had a lot of seen my name a lot of places so far, and you will probably continue to do so, but I wanted to turn it over to some really amazing people. Tonight, we are joined by some really awesome staff at the college and people that you need to know. Tonight, we're going to talk about financial aid and billing procedures. Our residential life staff in Centennial Hall is going to tell you about all the opportunities available in Centennial for your students. And then also a little bit about the meal plan selection process too. So hopefully we can demystify some of that and yeah, just kind of get you introduced to ESF culture. So welcome. Our first person up is going to be Mark Hill. So if Mark would like to unmute himself and introduce himself, Mark, take it away.
Thanks so much, Amelia. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. As everyone else has said, we're really happy to have you with us. I'm hoping that many of you have met with us before, as we did a number of different virtual financial aid sessions earlier this year. So this is really about kind of updating you on where you might be in the financial aid process right now, and just to make sure you're getting all the information you need and are able to take the steps you need to be able to move forward with all of your financial aid information. So hopefully you're a lot of the way through with the steps you'll need to take. So I'll just cover some highlight points here. And I always like to start just by letting folks know where they can get information anytime, and that's on our website. So there's a lot of great info there. I love to joke that if you're ever having trouble going to sleep at night, that's a great place to go, because you can read all kinds of fun policies about things like satisfactory academic progress and required coursework and so forth. So these are good things for you to be aware of. Those are the two I always point out, just because these are things that can sometimes trip up students. So it's really important that at some point you go out and just kind of browse through this, make sure you are aware of what kind of rules and policies there are out there. Academic progress is, of course, very important, and we're sure you're all going to do great, but you want to be aware of what kind of GPA requirements there are. And then the other piece is just something that I like to always remind folks, and that is that the courses a student takes can have a big impact on financial aid eligibility. So as you go through the advising process and getting ready for the start of the semester, and actually your whole time here at ESF, it's really important that you look at the coursework you're going to be taking and what is actually required for your degree, as opposed to things you just like to take to learn more. So always be aware of what's in your plan sheet, what kind of courses you need, and make sure you plan that carefully, not just one semester at a time, but kind of look forward for all of your years here to make sure sure you have a little bit of a plan to make sure you're going to maximize your aid eligibility. So those are the kind of things I like to start with. So next, what I'll do on this next slide is just kind of go over my bullet items here of things that I think will help you along. And I'm guessing you've heard me say this before. If not, you'll probably hear me say it again. You'll probably hear others say this, and that is that it is essential that the students are monitoring their syr.edu email address. And this is important because this is the official means of communication for the college. So any kind of important billing notices or financial aid notices that go out, they're always going to go to that address. So if you, as a student, haven't set that up yet and are not checking it, please make sure you do that as quick as you can. It is, again, really important that you do that. Also, be aware that this information to that address goes to students. There's a lot of information that isn't going to go to parents because we communicate directly with the students. So I always like to encourage folks as well to have a good line of communication between student and parent or parents so that everyone will know what's going on. Don't assume that we're telling a parent the same information that we're telling a student. So next in the process is make sure you've got your access to the My ESF portal set up. If you haven't done that, you want to be able to get in there right away. There's a lot of good information on the portal, a lot of different data you can get to. My favorite part, obviously, is when you go in and you go into the financial aid section. And what you'll see there is on the left-hand side of the portal is where all the various links are to get you to different sites. Just click on the financial aid link to get to our section. And the nice thing with our section is we have a series of tabs across the top, and it's always going to start the student on a tab labeled home. That's the first one there. And it starts the student there every time because that's where we have what we call our to-do list or our list of tracking requirements that the student may have to take care of. So I'm guessing many of you have seen this. This is where things like loan paperwork and terms and conditions will appear. So when the student goes in there, it's good to keep regular tabs on this tab to make sure that you know what's outstanding, what has to be taken care of in order for all of your aid to process. And then the next tab over is probably the most important one. And those two are really probably the most important ones of all. The others aren't really used that often, but the award offer tab is where you can actually see the student's estimated cost of attendance and the actual financial aid offers. So at this point in the process, if you have not reviewed that as a student and or parent, and you want to look at that, the student needs to be the one to go in here. And there are certain types of aid, if offered, that require a response from the student. So this is typically going to be student loans, parent loans, and possibly federal work study. So if you have not gone in and provided responses to those things, that would be your next step. So you have to decide if you want to take the loans or accept the work study. If you indicate that you would like to accept any of those, after that response is submitted, you want to then go back to that home tab because that will update in real time to then show any requirements that you may have to complete in order to get those sources of aid. So if you haven't done all that, important to do that. Also, keep an eye on this throughout the year. Financial aid can change at any time. So we may add information, we may change eligibility if something comes in new. So it's a good idea every once in a while to go back out and check this and make sure you don't have anything outstanding. And the last part of this is just understanding what we call pending financial aid. So as you start to take care of paperwork and steps that you have to complete, the status of your aid in the financial aid package will change. So a lot of that happened just before the billing notice went out. We run a lot of jobs that change the status so that as the bills come out, you'll start to see some of that financial aid appear. So if you always start in the aid package, you'll see the status of your different aid sources there, and some of it may show as authorized, which is the same as pending. As we continue to update this information, that's going to change in real time as well. So for example, if you accept a loan and then you do the paperwork later, as soon as we start to process that, that could change the status of that loan for you. So again, good to go back in and look at this as you go. Anything that shows as moving along in the financial aid package or that is in an authorized status, as we call it, is then going to flow into your billing records. And at this point in the year, it's going to be called pending financial aid because the money's not here yet, but we expect it to come in once the semester starts. So as you talk about billing, as you learn more about that, you'll get some guidance as to how to manage and how to understand that pending aid. But it's important to know that if you are looking to get an idea of where your aid status is, what you're looking at, then seeing an authorized status and seeing it show up as pending financial aid on the bill is a good sign that you're taking care of all the things that you need to. So as I said, that was kind of my brief bulleted list here. I'm going to be sticking around. I'll be jumping on the chat if there are any financial aid specific questions. And if anyone does have any questions they want to reach out to us on, our email address is the best way to do that. It's very straightforward. It's just finaid@esf.edu. And I will also put that in the chat. So again, thank you all so much for being with us. And I believe I'll be turning it over to my colleague, the bursar, Michelle McNeil.
Thank you, Mark. I like following Mark because financial aid and billing, they go hand in hand. I do want to stress what Mark said about the syr.edu email, because that's where we send the bills. We send information that you're potentially going to get a late fee because you still have a balance due. We send information there about refunds. So a lot of things go to that email, and it's very important to keep checking it. Like Mark said, if aid changes, you're going to get an email saying, you know, check your bill. It's also important to check your bill throughout the semester. Even if you think it's paid up front, you never know when something's going to change, financial aid, or if there's going to be a charge that shows up on your account. So it's very important to not only monitor the email, but monitor your bill as well. Our bills did go out on last Thursday. They are due August 15th. The emails went out to the students only. And as Mark said, there has to be a communication with the students and their parent or parents regarding the payment. In that email, there's a lot of good information. It talks about the due date, payment plans, meal plans, financial aid. You make your payment through the portal, and you have all different kinds of options right there at the portal to make your payments. To figure out what your amount due is at this point in time, you would take your total charges and subtract out your pending aid. That would be your out-of-pocket balance. If it is negative, meaning you have more aid at this time than charges, your student will be getting a refund. If that's the case, we start running refunds at the beginning of the semester, and we use a company called Bank Mobile. Everyone should have been notified by now via email and snail mail with from Bank Mobile, who they are, what they do. They are a legitimate company, and we highly recommend you follow their instructions and set up a preference, because once we send them a file of a list of students who are getting refunds, they will process it, and within 24 to 48 hours, the refund will be put into that particular bank account. So we highly recommend that. If you don't set up a preference, Bank Mobile will wait 3 weeks and issue a paper check and mail it to the home address for the student. So you have a risk of losing the check, it getting lost in the mail, and you have to wait 3 weeks for your money. I can't think of anything else to say, because the bills are the most important thing, and they just did go out. We do have our website down at the bottom of the page, and we have our own email as well. It's bursar@esf.edu. Feel free to email us, call us, and if you're in town or on campus, stop in. We're at 103 Bray Hall. We're here to help. That's us in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. I know that this is a really complicated topic, and I think it's really important to have the people who do this work every day to kind of address these questions directly. I know Mark is in the chat kind of trying to address some of these questions, but just know that if you have a particularly complicated question, or if maybe it requires some follow-up, definitely don't be afraid to reach out to these people. They're excellent people to work with, and both Mark and Michelle are here to support you throughout this experience. So yeah, we will try to address some of those questions kind of at the end of the presentation too. We'll continue to chip away to try and answer some things in the chat. But next up, we have some.
Can I interrupt 1 second? I do see a
course.
question in the chat. It says, what portal? It's the ESF student portal where you make your payments. It's where you're going to find your financial aid, your registration record. It's where all your student information is. It's your ESF student portal. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. Excellent question. And we'll do our best to make sure that everybody gets some of these things answered by the end. But I do want to turn it over to our folks in Centennial Hall who are joining us tonight. So I will pass it over to Stephanie, Megan, and Jesse. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Zoom. So just wanted to let you know, Jessie also introduced herself at the beginning. I'm Stephanie Mecca. I'm the Assistant Community Manager at Centennial Hall, and Megan will join in on a couple slides in a minute and introduce herself. So yeah, we wanted to start off with some move-in information. All right, so as the slide reads, we definitely want you to know these key dates. So feel free, take a note, take a screenshot, whatever you need for these move-in dates. Our first year move-in for our triple rooms will be that Monday, August 21st, and that will be a very full day. So that will be a day where you'll be starting to do that move-in. And then first year move-in, any room type that Tuesday, August 22nd is when those other room types will be able to start moving in. We do have special move-in dates. So if you have a student or you're a student in any of these programs, being the athletics, EOP, LSAMP, you should have received some information. We have some of these students already with us this summer. And so you should have that information through those special entities, a separate communication if you are part of any of those special groups. And then I know it's move-in coming in, but we also departure dates are very important. And so a big key thing with any of our departure dates, a baseline information for students and family members who are helping them move out or leave for a break is key thing is 24 hours after their final exam is a very good note to make. Some students have final exams done really early. One of our key positions is move out 24 hours after your last final. But some of those students do have those later finals. And so that's why we have those set dates. That Wednesday, December 20th at 2 p.m. Would be for those people who have not reached the full 24 hours of after their last final. And then end of the year, way far into the future, again, follows that 24 hours after their last final exam of the year, or that May 8th at 2 p.m., whichever is earlier. So those are some key dates for you. Your students and residents will be getting a lot of information throughout the year of reminders and keeping them in track of that. But here's some up front for you. All right, and so for move-in, it is right around the corner. It's in a month or so the clock is ticking. We're very excited to welcome everybody to the hall. Move-in day is a big thing for us. The things we ask you to bring, the very key thing is for our students to bring their photo ID. We need to know who's coming. They'll be getting student IDs and everything, but we do need some form of photo ID with their names so we know who they are. We can look them up in the system and get them along their way through our move-in stations. We do also, key thing is also patience. especially that first Monday day. It will be a lot of moving parts. We have a lot of our fellow team members here that are on the call will be in Centennial Hall with us, welcoming our wonderful people. We'll be having like unloading lines and a lot of wonderful orientation leaders helping us out, elevators process. So we always ask you to bring your patients, we definitely encourage, we will have the system, we'll have it all set up, but sometimes in the moments of move-in, you'll have those little hiccups here and there. So we definitely encourage that. And then check your email throughout the summer. We'll be sending updates. We've sent a couple already of room placements, roommate tips and tricks, what to bring. So I definitely also want to stress, look at the emails. A lot of our emails also go to whatever students put in through their contracts with us. So sometimes it's a Gmail account, everything with that. And so if you can't find it in your EDU account, check in that account you used with us, because in there we've already sent a list of what to bring, what not to bring, and it goes over some key things, like don't bring it here if it's not against policy kind of thing. So and then there's some room floor plans right there, and they're also online as well. And then if you have any triple questions, we also have a full page all about triples. So if you just type that in, Centennial Hall triples, you'll be able to find that website as well. And at the end of this call, we can also drop that link in the chat if you need it. Oh yeah, and then I'll pass it along to Megan.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Megan Catalano. I am one of the 2 residential experience coordinators here in Centennial Hall. My partner is Jessie here, and we both manage the resident assistants here in the building, and we both do programming here in the building. So you and your students will get to know us quite well. So I wanted to chat a little bit about, we have a sign up time slot. So when we talked about the patients on move-in day, that it goes in line with why we have these check-in time slots. It helps us have a flow of traffic for that day, so your move-in is efficient and as stress-free as we can possibly make it for you that day. You and your students received an email earlier with it's a program called Setmore that we have. You just follow the links and select the date that corresponds with your room type. And for those of you that are in triples and moving in on that Monday, please don't worry. We will keep you occupied and super busy with fun programming that very first night, because we know that orientation doesn't kick off until the next day. So we have some really fun stuff in the plans for you all. And I know this is quite early, but let's just be thinking about it ahead of time. Housing selection, it pops up quite early. It pops up in October. You and your student will receive information about that via email. They won't be able to miss it. It'll be on Instagram. We'll make posters. All the students will be chatting about it. But essentially what that is we're recognizing that if students are choosing to sign a lease for off campus as their upperclassmen in the following years, for those students that don't choose that, we want to make sure that they know they have a place here in Centennial Hall, and we're aligning our timeline with the off-campus apartment leasing. So essentially it's signing a lease for next year. But again, we'll get further into detail with that when the time comes. Just wanted to say that for now. I'm ready for the next slide. And Jessie and I organize programming. These are events. These are fun things to do that are not academic related, because we recognize that you can't be academics 24 hours a day. There's time for growth, there's time for community building, networking, and making these memories while we're here for the 4 years. So these are just some examples of some of the items that Jessie and I have planned in the past and been very successful. We've held a coffee house here in Centennial Hall with a live singer-songwriter that the students really appreciated. We'll do art nights following a live demonstration by an artist, and we're all painting alongside of them. We take students on excursions, so whether that's just up the road apple picking, or we've taken them as far as New York City recently. we are always listening and open to what the students are interested in. What would they enjoy doing? And we love bringing the fun to them here in Centennial Hall. So it gives the students a way to branch out, try something new, and make some new friends. So thank you, and I am all set.
Awesome. Thank you so much to our team in Centen. You know, as I can say, the Residence Hall staff here, Centennial Hall team, it's just such an incredible experience for your students, and they really work very, very hard to make sure that your student has a really positive experience here. So definitely ask them some questions. There's also some information on not only the Centennial Hall website, but also the new student website as well. So our next up is Dean Ann Lombard, who is going to be talking a little bit about the ESF meal plans.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Amelia. My name is Dean Lombard, and it's my privilege to serve ESF as the Dean of Students. And I will have the opportunity to talk with you about many things, but my role tonight is to talk about our meal plans. So as you know by now, we have a very unique relationship with Syracuse University, and we have a cafe on our campus and we have a coffee shop on our campus, but we don't have dining halls on our campus. And so our students utilize Syracuse University dining services for that. My contact information is there on the screen. So if we can be helpful to you over the summer at any point during the school year, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But I will take the next slide right now so I can jump right into meal plans. So the meal plan rates for the Syracuse University dining plans are on the screen, and you can choose any of those meal plans in which to enroll yourself. But ESF students who require a meal plan, which is our first year students, are required to have at least the Block 85 plan. So what that means, and I'll ask Amelia to advance it to the next slide. I want to talk a little bit about what Block 85 is, and then what Block 30 is, and I think what unlimited is pretty obvious. But the Block 85 plan means that there are 85 meal swipes plus $200 in dining dollars. And then the Block 130 is 130 meal swipes plus dining dollars. And then the unlimited is unlimited swipes. And so what the swipes mean, there are 5 dining halls on the Syracuse University campus. There's one very close to Centennial in Sadler, and then there are some others across the campus. There are 85 swipes into those dining halls. Those are unlimited meals. So what we encourage, if you do the math, 85 meal swipes is fewer than 1 meal swipe a day, plus dining dollars, which can be used in our Trailhead Cafe. They can also be used in our coffee shop and in many places across the Syracuse University campus. So as we said, all ESF students are required to have at least the minimum meal plan, the Block 85 plan, but you can choose to upgrade your meal plan at any point during the semester, but you can't decrease your plan. So that's why we have our students enroll in the lowest plan to start. There are 2 different kinds of cash that are available for you to have on your ID cards. One is the $200 dining dollars that come with the Block 85 plan. There's also a thing called Q's Cash. So let me start first with what dining dollars are. Those are automatically a part of your meal plan. So if you choose the Block 85 or the Block 130, you get $200 in dining dollars that are usable for you. If you get the unlimited meal plan, there's $330, I think, of dining dollars. Dining dollars do not roll over from semester to semester, and they're not refundable at the end of the year. Q's Cash, which you can add to your account at any point, but you don't get those as part of the meal plan. You have to buy those. That rolls over from semester to semester. And if you have unused Q's Cash, at the end of the spring semester, that will be refunded to you. So you might wonder, well, why would I want to use Q's Cash if it gets refunded to me? If I don't, why don't I just use regular cash or my card? There's a benefit for you to use Q's Cash because you don't pay taxes for your like meals in the dining hall, not the dining halls, but the other venues. And Q's Cash is also broadly usable across the Syracuse University campus. So you can use that not just in dining facilities, but you can also use that in the bookstore. You can use it for concessions in the dome. So there are all of these things. There's the meal swipes, there's the dining dollars, and then there's Q's Cash. So my advice to you, if I may offer some advice to you, is make sure you use your dining dollars first because they don't roll over from semester to semester. Use those first because they're non-refundable. And then if you want to get Q's Cash, we encourage you to get Q's Cash because you can have that right on your ID card. So you will choose your meal plan right at the My Slice portal. And it's the slide there shows you how you can manage your meal plans and how you can purchase Q's Cash. So again, that's self-funded for Q's Cash. That's a declining balance. It's on your card and that's also usable at some off-campus venues as well. And again, if you don't use your full balance of Q's Cash, you can roll that over to the next semester or have that refunded to you at the end of the spring semester. So again, it's already been mentioned, but I wanted to reiterate that meal plans will be payable through the SU Bursar's office. That charge will show up on your SU bill and the schedule for, if we can go back to the slide before this, Amelia, I thought we had it on that slide. Sorry. That bill will come in later than, thank you. Not that one. Don't we have, sorry, I'm having a conversation with Amelia. I thought we had a slide that talked about when the SU balance is due, but that's due a little bit later than the ESF bill. But to our students, make sure that you are aware that you will have a meal plan bill in your My Slice portal, and then your other charges will be in the ESF portal. So it can be a little challenging for our students sometimes because you've got 2 email addresses to keep track of. You've got 2 portals to keep track of. You've got 2 bills to keep track of, but we will help you with that and we'll remind you of that and happy to answer any questions that you might ever have about that. So let me stop there. I think our next slide is general questions. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Before we move on to questions, if you require a special diet or you've got some questions about the meal plans, we work very closely with Ruth Sullivan, who is a dietitian, and she's in the Nutrition Food Services office at Syracuse University. So if you've got some concerns or dietary needs, she can be really, really helpful. That includes things like food allergies, celiacs, other food intolerances. We work very closely with Ruth in that regard. So want to make sure that you know that we have ways to support students who have special dietary needs. And if we can answer those questions, certainly reach out to us, but you can also reach out directly to Ruth in her office. So next slide. Okay, so I will add, and I'm sure that Amelia will add to this, that we do have 3 more sessions planned for you. We're going to look at academic life, student mental health and wellness, and student life in general. We're always happy to answer any of your questions at any point, but we are also happy to answer your questions tonight. And I can see I've got 2 screens in my office. So I'm watching our presentation on one slide and watching all of the questions scroll on the other screen. But feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask some questions, or you can ask them in the chat.
Thank you very much to all of our presenters. really appreciate your time and your energy tonight. And thank you everybody in the chat. These questions are fantastic. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause the recording right now, and we will take some time to do some Q&A, and feel free to unmute yourself, reiterate any questions that weren't addressed in the staff in the chat. And we hope that you will join us for the next 3 installments. And if you miss it, these will be posted online and they will be captioned. So you'll find those on our new student website. But thank you so much, and we will turn it over to the Q&A for our panel. Thank you.